The draw for the 2025-26 UEFA Champions League takes place in Monaco on Thursday. With a new Swiss model only in its second season, here's a rundown of how all of this is going to work. The Champions League expanded last season from 32 to a whopping 36 clubs, more chaos, more opportunities for the powers of the footballing world to play each other, and a chance for clubs like Pafos, Bodo Glimt, and Kairat to make their debuts. Now that all 36 teams have qualified, they are divided into 4 different pots of 9 teams based on their 5-year UEFA club coefficient. The exception being that the winners of last year's tournament, PSG, are automatically placed as the top seed in pot 1. The clubs are manually drawn and then automated software kicks in and assigns 8 opponents at random. However, there are rules here. Each club will play 2 different teams from each pot, 1 home and 1 away. A club can also not play a team from the same federation, so you won't get Arsenal versus Liverpool or Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich during the league phase. Here are some dates to keep in mind as the 2025-26 Champions League progresses. Matchday 1 kicks off on September 16th. Just like last year, it'll be held over 3 days, so maybe plan your time off of work then. Matchday 8 is set for January 28th. All 36 teams competing on the same day at the same time. Teams that finish 1 through 8 automatically go through to the round of 16. Those that finish in the 9 to 24 range head to the knockout round playoffs that start on February 17th. The Champions League final will take place at Puskás Arena in Budapest on May 30th, 2026. Well, today is the UEFA Champions League Draw. You can watch it all from start to finish, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern right here on the Golazo network. We're going to be talking about who has the easiest league phase schedule or the toughest, and can anyone dethrone PSG? Hannah Cash, Nico Cantor, Ian Joy, and more will be on hand to break it all down for you. All right, well, Liam, I know what Nico thinks about the new format. Darian, I think I've already gotten your thoughts as well. We're all kind of in favor of liking this new format, but I want to get your thoughts. Do you like the new format of Champions League?
I'm not going to add anything tricky into the group. I wanted to not like it. I loved the group stage before. I thought, you don't need to change something that works. It's great. But I actually loved it. And the jeopardy that came on the last few games, the last day of the league phase was amazing. And I sat down with Robert Lewandowski actually recently and I said, what do you think about the new Champions League phase? He loves it as well. He said it's great. He said it needed a shake-up, it needed a freshen up, and the jeopardy that comes at the end of the league phase, I think it's great. I think it's a good new format.
To me, Lewandowski and Tony Meola, like, these are two guys where whatever they say,
we trust them.
Everyone does. I trust everything Tony Meola says. I trust everything Lewandowski says. So if he likes it, we all like it, right? So there are some new teams in Champions League this year that are just really happy to be here and be able to be in this competition for the first time. But there are some teams that, Nico, that you feel like are obligated to win Champions League. So I want to know your list.
Yeah, at a certain point, your club is so massive that there is an obligation on your shoulders to win the Champions League, right? Not too many clubs in world football have that pressure. And I'm going to give you a list from 5 to 1, and I'm ranking them in order of obligation to win the Champions League. And at number 5, I'm starting with PSG, the reigning champions. I think it's very difficult to go back-to-back in the Champions League unless you're like Real Madrid or something. You have to go all the way back to the late 80s to find a back-to-back winner not named Real Madrid. They have a target on their back. People are going to want to beat them, and it's very difficult. I think out of all the objectives in Luis Enrique's tenure at PSG, winning the Champions League has already been clicked off. So perhaps there's a little bit less pressure than usual, and there's 4 other clubs with a little bit more pressure. Then I'm going to go to Liverpool just because of the way that their investment, and I'm not talking about the net investment because I think they've done extraordinary business. It's the amount of money that they've put into the transfer window. They've already won the Premier League in Arne Slot's first season. It feels like the next evolution is to not only go for the Premier League, but go for the Champions League as well. They're the biggest European team in England, if you will. Then up next is Barcelona, especially after coming up so agonizingly short in the Champions League to Inter. It feels like that upset really upset Barcelona because after seeing the Champions League final 5-0, it felt like Barcelona should have been the team in that final. Can Lamine Yamal put together another Ballon d'Or-esque season and lead Barcelona to the glory, especially when across the aisle, Real Madrid always has that standard. But before we get to Madrid, I'm going to go to Bayern Munich because why? Mia San Mia. Bayern Munich isn't built to win the Bundesliga. We know that's already going to happen from Spieltag 1. Match day 1, I know that Bayern is going to win it, right? It would be a disaster if they lost it. There's an extra pressure on company to not wither away against Inter on set pieces, Bayern has to compete. Bayern has one of the most prolific goal scorers in football history in order to win the Champions League and the Bundesliga. And then number one, just like in every season, it's Real Madrid, the perennial winners of this competition. And I understand it's Xabi Alonso's first season, but it's Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr.'s second season together, and the standard of Real Madrid has been held so high because of the enormous, unrivaled success of this team in this competition. And every beginning of the season, their eyes are set on the Champions League final. And this season, it's set in Budapest for the Puskás Arena, a stadium that's named after one of their greatest players ever.
I agree with this list, but I would switch some things around, and I think some of us also have questions looking at this list. So, Liam, I'm going to let you pick it out first.
I'll take the one English team, Liverpool, the best European team from England, won it 6 times, but Arsenal. If they're going to be regarded as a great, they've never lifted that trophy. This project of Arteta, he's taken them from a bad place to a good place. And I know you say don't mention net spend, but I think with Arsenal you have to, because it's only, I think they're second for net spend in the Premier League over the last 5 years, which is during Arteta's tenure. They had a great night. Declan Rice put 2 free kicks in the top corner, but for them to take that next step, Arteta has to deliver a trophy this season, and if it's not the Premier League, it needs to be the Champions League. So I think they're not obligated in the sense that they don't have that proud history of Liverpool in the Champions League, but they sing LA, LA, LA for, I'm not sure why, if they've not had many good away days in Europe.
Yeah, my counterpoint to Arsenal, the reason why I didn't include them, it's because if they win the Prem, it's an ultimately successful season. I think if you go down the line and you see Real Madrid winning La Liga, Bayern winning the Bundesliga, Barcelona La Liga, Liverpool the Prem, I think is pretty big, go back to back, and PSG winning Ligue 1. Sure, they're obligated to win those, but that's just because that's kind of like a given. Arsenal winning the Prem and not winning Champions League is massive to them, and that's why I think they're in that order. They're in this list, but maybe not top 5 for me.
Perhaps have gone obligated to win a trophy. They have to win a trophy.
Don't confuse it.
That's for sure. I mean, if I made a list of teams obligated to win anything, I think Arsenal's top of that list.
They've been on that list for a while.
My biggest question looking at this list, you have Barca at 3. And looking at the season they had last year, they won every El Clasico. They were dominant in Champions League, although conceded a lot. I would think, my opinion is the biggest change that they have to make is just being able to manage a game with the high line and know when to not do it in a match when they're ahead and drop off. I would think that there's more pressure, more obligation on Barcelona probably than Bayern Munich based on last season.
I agree.
Not more than Real Madrid.
Not more than Real Madrid, but Bayern. Based on last season's results and the talent they have upcoming, they've had a year with these young players to build into the system under Hansi Flick.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's neck and neck with Bayern. The reason why I weighted Bayern a little bit more, it's because they play for one thing, really. And they've been, it's been 5 seasons since that COVID season in which they won Champions League, and they couldn't find a manager. It was a club that lost their way a little bit when Bayer Leverkusen won the Bundesliga, and they have to answer back. This is a club that has just a high standard, proportionally speaking, in Germany like Real Madrid has in Spain. This is a club that doesn't want to fry fish, they want to fry sharks.
Oh, that's a new one.
They shoot for the stars. I made it up on the spot.
They don't want to fry fish.
Too much Grimsby.
We're thinking about fish, slapping with a fish. Forget about Real Madrid's history and how many times they've won Champions League. If you forget that, though, and look at the teams that they have, would you then put Barcelona ahead of them on the list? Because I know you're looking at a lot of the history of Real Madrid.
Well, but that's what defines a club. That's like a woulda, coulda, shoulda. And if Barcelona didn't have Messi, they wouldn't be the club that they are now. So I can't answer that question because Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and there's a reason for that. And when you look at all of those Clásicos lost, you're still looking at a recent history, right? And it's inexcusable that Real Madrid had the season that they had last season, especially with the players that they have. Again, when you sign Mbappe and you have him alongside Vinicius and alongside Bellingham, it's Galacticos 2.0. The first time they didn't win a Champions League, by the way. And when you assemble a team like this, and I don't like using Americanisms to create this metaphor, this analogy, but it's like when LeBron signs for the Heat, or I don't know if it's in basketball you say signed, but he got traded to the Heat. He was a free agent, he didn't get traded, whatever, doesn't matter. It was the obligation for Miami Heat with Bosch, Wade, and LeBron.
Yeah, to win it.
To win was immediate. it's a failure if you don't win. And that's kind of crazy because one team out of a plethora of teams in the NBA win the title. And here the same thing. Out of 32 teams, only one wins the Champions League. How can you say you have to win it in order of obligation? The team that has the most obligation after assembling a super team is Real Madrid.
You've put a good case forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Real Madrid. I just think Barca should be second.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I agree.